everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bilikis. How you doing? So this class will be on how to make a fitted long skirt, and trust me, it's very easy and you're gonna love it once you try making one. So if today is your first time of checking out my channel, you're welcome. Please make sure you subscribe and tap on the notification bell to get notified each time we put up a video. Check out my other channel, Pattern Drafting with Bilikis and Bilikis Kitchen. Follow me on Instagram, Bilikis Signatures, and on Facebook, Sewing Innovations. So first, let's talk about the measurements to take and how to take the measurements. Looking at this diagram I have here, this is how or what a normal female looks like from the waist downward. So the two basic measurements you need to take first when you're talking about the circumference is the waist and the hip. So looking at this green circle, so first around your waist measurement, then the strongest part of your hip, you need to take those two circumferences. Then now let's go to the vertical measurement. You need the length of the skirt you are making. So that will be from your waist here down to your to the floor length. Yes, except some people that doesn't like their skirt to be so long. So just from your waist to the floor length, you need to take that measurement. That's vertical measurement. Then you will need the measurement from your waist here down to your hip. So you need the measurement here. Like for me, it is 8 inches. Another vital measurement will be from your waist here to above your knee. Looking at this point, this is where the knee is. So make sure it is 2 inches to 3 inches above your knee. Why? Because we are making a fitted skirt. So you want to be able to walk perfectly. So that is why you need to go a little above your knee length and not exactly on your knee length. And this is also essential when you are making 6 pieces and 8 pieces skirts. So having noted all this now, then another vital thing is your bust span measurement, distance from one nipple to the other. So once you are done with all these measurements, we can start drafting. Quickly get to work. The first thing we are going to do now is this. I'm working with a waist measurement of 30 inches and a hip of 40 inches. So you can decide to add all your seam allowance on your pattern as you go by. So all you have to do is to place it on your fabric, or if you are drafting directly on your fabric, you use the same process, just that you fold for the front and also for the back. So you'll be folding the front fabric because the back will have a zipper allowance. Because when you look at my paper now, before I start the main measurement, I left 1 inch. That's for the zipper allowance. That will be for the back, although we are using this one pattern to cut both for the front and the back. So the first thing I want to do now is to insert the hip measurement. Since it is 40 inches, divide 40 by 4, you're going to have 10. So plus seam allowance, that will make it 11. As we are adding your seam allowance all together. Good. The next thing will be to insert the waist measurement. The waist is 30 inches. When I divide it by 4, I'm going to have 7.5. Then don't forget, you will need to add that to your skirt. What is the essence of that? This is to give our outfit fittings and to look nice on our body. So for the skirt, by standard, extra 1 inch is good for your dart. So you take half an inch for the dart on both sides. So since quarter of the waist measurement is 7.5, then you add extra 1 inch, that will make it 8.5. So that is for the waist measurement with the darts. Then don't forget your 1 inch seam allowance. That will make it 9.5. Having imputed that, the next thing we are going to do now is to connect from the waist to the hip with your hip curve. Then note, we have different size and shape. So once that is done, the next thing I'm going to do is to insert the dart. So for the dart, that is where you require the bust span measurement. So the bust span measurement for this person is 8 inches. So half of that will be 4. So just measure 4 inches from the starting line. Remember, how measurement is from this very line. This is the zipper allowance. We don't need that. So come here to measure 4 inches. Connect in a straight line. So for the front dart, you come up by 2 inches. So note that. While for the back, you come up by 1/2 inch. I'm just telling you that since we are using one pattern for both. So let's connect that. So for the dart, remember we left 1 inch, so that will be 1/2 inch on both sides. Half. So you connect to this very one. So this is for the front. So for the back, this is what it's going to look like. So this is necessary when you are transferring to the fabric. So you use your awl to just punch the hole, so you know this is for the front, this is for the back. That's easy. So having done that, now we can now move further. Then another thing you need to do now is this. How do we know the front from the back? Just come down by 1/2 inch. So this straight one will be for the back, this very one will be for the front. So just take your hip curve, use the straighter parts on this side, and then you connect it straight down to the hand here. Can you see? So this is for the back, this is for the front. We are done with that. Now coming to the knee area here. So remember we said we want a fitted skirt, and that thickness will come on the knee length area. But in case you just want a straight, because sometimes you want to make for your mom or elderly people that don't really need that, all you have to do is this. Take the measurement of whatever you have here and deduct 1 inch to 1.5, then you insert it at the end here. Now that also determines on how hippie the person is. If the person has a lot of hip, you can deduct as much as 2 inches here. But if it's somebody that has a straight, a straight hip, just deduct 1 inch and insert here. So you should understand what I mean by that. Here, the measurement I have here is 11 inches. So I'm going to deduct 1.5 from that. So as I've explained, depending on how hippie the person is, you could even make it up to 2 inches. So when I deduct 1.5 from that, I should have 9.5. Good. So just for a normal straight skirt, this is what you have. From the hip, just connect straight down to the edge. So this is the seam allowance, but I'm going to take it to the edge here because the seam allowance area has to be straight. So that is what the skirt should look like. Can you see? So you don't want any fitting. So now, for those that want it fitted, especially people with a lot of hips that really looks nice. So how you have to do now is to come to the knee area here. Then you come in by 1/2 inch to 3/4. You get that? 1/2 inch now to 3/4 inward. So let's say you want half, if the hip is not too much, half, but somebody that is hippie, you could make up to 3/4 inch, but I'll make do with half because I'm still going to make it a part also at the region. So from here, just come down by 3/4 inch and connect here. You see that? Then from that point straight down. So your body shape will now bring this beautiful outfit out. And you see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. So it is ready. And then the zipper allowance, except you want a vent. But in most cases when I make a straight skirt, I like the slit to show up what's going on inside. This is what the skirt looks like, and you can see it's just so beautiful. If you want the fitted one, you go with this one, and if you want the other straight one, you go with this. And the part of the seam allowance has to be straight down. I've explained that, because I've explained initially when I was showing you how to take the measurement, the length of the skirt I'm working with is 40 inches with seam allowance inclusive. So your hemming allowance, you should make do with 1.5. 1.5 is perfect. Then from the beginning, you have from the waist measurement to the hip measurement, which is 8 inches. Then from the waist to the knee measurement, which is 17. And then the length of the skirt. I've explained that initially. So now the next thing now is to make the alteration at the back, because we want a fitted skirt. Now this is the zipper allowance. When you want to cut on the fabric, you need to fold this in. But before that, all you have to do now is this. We want to make some adjustments at the knee length area again. So because the seam allowance of the zipper has been added, so we are going to work on this part starting from here. So what you will do now is this. For somebody that has a normal butt that are not so protruding, just go in by half an inch. But if you are someone with big bum, just make it 3/4 of an inch, which is fine. So that's going to be here. So now that means your zipper allowance will be going into the main pattern now. Did you get that? So that's what you're going to have. So coming to this part, this is the hip line. Just come down by 1.5. Then you connect to this point. You see that? So here now, you just from here bring it back into the zipper allowance. So this is going to be cut off. So that is it. So by the time we go further into adding a lot of volume to the butt area, that is when we can just cut through this hip line and just expand it a little and add about 1 inch to it to give it more volume at the butt, especially for people with big bum. In that case, you just have to cut through here and spread it out. So having done this, now we are through with the skirt pattern. So when you're cutting on your fabric, all you have to do now is this. First, let me cut it out. So I'll be working with the fitted one. So you cut the back and not the front yet. The pattern looks like for a fitted long skirt, both for the front and the back. So for the back now, when you are sewing for the zipper allowance, you go this way, the 1 inch, then you will now be forced to go inside this way. And you see, so you'll be sewing inward this way. Do you see that? Because we have cut out some of the excess. So now when you want to cut it out on your fabric, just place, you cut the back first. So you cut this out now, or if you want to have 2 separate patterns, just place this to cut out the back, place on another paper, cut it out before you now finish for the front. After cutting this out on the fabric for the back, then for the front, all you have to do now is this. Just fold this back, this is the zipper allowance, fold it to that initial line we started all the measurements. So looking at this, we have the front pattern. There you can cut this off. So now we have the front. So you also place it on your fabric and cut it out. So let me quickly just explain, for people with big butts, so you just make some little allowance to that. How do you do that? Coming to the hip line, just list this. You have to slash and spread a little. Don't cut it all through, then spread it out. Just get a piece of paper. So between 1 inch to 1.5 is fine. And you see, so this is what is going to. So can you see? So fullness has been added to the back. So that is how we go about that. You just to place it down. So that's just an extra tip. You can see that. So that's for the back. You can see I brought out the back. So this has to be done to the back. So when you want to cut for the front, so you can do all this before cutting it out at all. After doing that, just make sure you fold it back, you close it. It's very easy. Can you see that? Just close it back to cut for the front. So if my tutorial on how to make a long fitted skirt has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. For your sewing tools like the one I have here, if you want to get them, you can contact us through the contact number in the description box below. I remain your girl Bilikis. Bye.